Cannabis Commission set to ease up on Massachusetts delivery rules. So taking us from the West Coast to the East Coast, but staying in that delivery lane, I'll be delivering to you some out-of-state news from Massachusetts, which has continued to be a never-ending supply of news stories, especially related to their Cannabis Regulatory Commission and all the issues there. So without further ado, hot off the press from 3 hours ago on NBCBoston.com, drum roll, Cannabis Commission set to ease up on Massachusetts delivery rules. The commission voted in December to change a rule that requires 2 employees to travel in cannabis delivery cars. The Massachusetts Cannabis Control Commission is poised to vote later this month on regulation that would finally put into motion policy changes they agreed to last year, and which struggling cannabis delivery businesses say would make a big difference to their bottom line. The commission voted in December. That's a long time ago, y'all. The commission voted in December to change a rule that requires 2 employees to travel in cannabis delivery cars. The rule was created for security, the idea being that it would be risky to leave a truck carrying a large quantity of marijuana and cash unattended while a driver got out to make deliveries. But the small businesses that have delivery licenses, many of which are owned by Black, brown, and low-income people, populations disproportionately impacted on the war of drugs, who the state is now trying to create new economic opportunities for, say the 2-driver rule means they have to pay 2 people for a job 1 person could do, and it limits the number of deliveries they can make at once, simultaneously inflating labor costs and decreasing output. Commissioners and staff met with police officers and public safety officials to discuss the impact of getting rid of the 2-driver rule. Commissioner Kimberly Roy said. Commissioner Nuris Camargo said it was a matter of finding a solution that would ensure folks will be safe and successful in their businesses as delivery companies have struggled to stay afloat. We are the guinea pig of delivery. Thankfully, we didn't die in the experiment. We've been close to it, said Chris Fevry, the CEO of Your Green Package. After hearing businesses plea that the current system is unprofitable and unsustainable, the CCC voted 3-1 in December, 9 months ago, to change a 2-driver rule. Almost a year later, however, that change never actually occurred. Commissioners plan to vote on a batch of regulations that include the reform to the 2-driver rule on October 22nd. Tuesday's meeting was a final public hearing on the draft regulations, and about a dozen business owners stressed how important the change will be and how direly needed it has been for years. This is something myself and countless other people have been advocating for since the summer of 2020. 4 years. We started when I was about to turn 27. I'm 31 now. It's like a whole high school experience. 4 years just talking about the same thing over and over and over again, said Devin Alexander of Quincy, who owns Rolling Relief delivery service based in Newton. Asked by the news service about the almost 11 months between the initial vote last year to change the 2-driver rule and the final vote at the end of October, Commissioner Kimberly Roy said, blah, 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 blah. Like, I'm not even going to quote what she said because it just, boop, shit.
Oh, come on.
There are a number of steps we need to take.
We love the BS. Yeah? We love the BS.
No, I'm not going to regurgitate it. It has like a bad taste coming up in my mouth. Like I can taste the bile in it. There are a number of steps we need to take, from the red line version to public testimony, filing with the Secretary of State's office, going back, and we're going to have to do a final round of edits publicly and blah, 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 blah. So anyway, she gave a long-winded explanation around how inefficient democracy is as a justification for not moving at the speed of business. The regulations as they're currently written allow delivery licensees the option of delivering marijuana directly to consumers with just 1 driver, so long as the total retail value of the products inside the vehicle don't exceed $5,000. 2 agents will be required to staff vehicles transporting products above that amount up to the $10,000 delivery maximum. The regulations do not, however, change the 2-driver rule for business-to-business transportation of marijuana products, an inconsistency that caught the commissioner's attention Tuesday. Oh, it's good it got your attention, guys. A number of business owners brought up the issue during the testimony. So there's some more in here, but I think you've got enough to understand the gist of the article I chose to cover today. I'd like to hear what my esteemed colleagues think and feel about this. Yarrow Kubrin, High at 9 News.
I think that stinky taste in your mouth was from that lie saying you're 31 years old, Yarrow.
The stinky taste in my mouth has nothing to do with the dates we've been on. And I was actually reading from the article that was quoted.
Was I present?
No, you've never been present, but you've certainly been on camera.
Oh man, you know, the true driver rule though, you guys, is a job creator policy. Just saying.
It is a job creator policy, but it's an employer killer is what it is.
Yeah,
because like, why would I fucking have to double staff? Like, I understand safety, I understand, creating jobs, but there's no way for me to create jobs if you run me the fuck out of business because I have to have double the amount of employees that I effectively need to do the position.
That's right. Amen.
Unless that second driver is a licensed security officer with a weapon.
Yeah,
what do you need the second guy for?
Yeah, right. So two people can get held up at the same time.
Exactly.
Exactly.
They better be strapped to that. They better be strapped, and I'm not talking about the Diddy kind,
Yeah, but I mean, separate from straps that include lubrication. Like, I don't necessarily want a bunch of low-trained people strapped up to secure $5,000 or $10,000 worth of cannabis. Give it to the robber. Do not discharge a firearm in public. I don't need some stray bullet hitting a building. Like, no, it's just weed.
I always train my staff to roll the whole store out. Get the fucking cart, put the big ass jars on there and roll it to their car, wave at them and tell them to have a nice day because I don't pay you enough to get shot.
For sure.
And Jason doesn't pay me enough to take the shots from you on this show.
I mean,
he doesn't pay for my ammo either, but here I am. Pew, pew.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that. Look at that, you guys. Look at that. We got ammo dealers. Yeah.
Endless ammo.
Endless ammo. It doesn't stop over here. I mean, I
those
just
super chats in, so I keep shooting at Yarrow.
Mm-hmm. I just I mean, so Yarrow, they voted to remove it, but you're saying that it doesn't kick in anytime soon. Am I correct on this?
It doesn't kick in anytime soon, and so that's the biggest problem for me. Is
when are they saying it's going to kick in?
They're not.
They're not stipulating when it's going to kick in. They're just it could happen. It could happen tomorrow. It could happen 10 years from now.
It's got the angry golem coming out the Shire, Lollipop Guild saying, what the fuck? If you already knew about this in December and you're voting on it in October and there's no indication of when that vote, the outcome of that vote becomes effective from rules and regs, there are two different components for what regulators need to do. They need to have solid rules, and they need to move quickly enough that the implementation of those rules creates a benefit that is not so delayed that it's the punchline to a bad joke.
Fair enough.
I mean, aren't we usually, if we're voting on something, right, and there's not a set emergency reason for us to have it start. Right. If it's not an emergency ordinance, don't these things usually go in effect and we address that, technically January 1 of the following year? I mean, usually, I'm not saying this is the case. I'm not saying that Yarrow's wrong. I'm just saying, is that possible?
I don't think that's the case because to my understanding, they have to have a vote to enact this policy. They've already stated that they're going to do it, but they still have to have an actual vote to enact the policy. And that
Guess what's
that is not scheduled.
I see. All right. Well, hey, I guess you'll have to stay tuned, and Yarrow will have to scream about it later.
Oh, are we gonna put Yarrow back on the shelf, Jenny?
Not until I school Nick in the chat about real estate law in other states. I love the man. Smart, but way
Nick,
over your skis, brother.
I totally agree with you on this one, Yarrow. Nick thinks he's an expert in everything in the chat all the time, and that's just that's just
I have
Nick.
Respect for the guy.
Yeah,
I mean, especially the value of in real life connections. But Nick, you're gonna have to figure out what you're an expert in, and the rest of it, not so much.
Fair enough. And on that, we're gonna go to a commercial. We're gonna be right back.